Hey, Chad.
How's it going, guys? What's up?
How's it going? So nothing really happened this week. Should we just like call it quits now and just what do you think?
Dude, no joke. I was going to make the same joke. I was like all ready to say it, and you just said it. Amazing. Yeah, pretty quiet week.
There's somebody in the audience who has I can't remember the name of the dragon from that old movie from the 1980s. God damn it. What's it called? People in the audience know. The Mateus Mormax got this thing. Oh, what's the name of that dragon from that movie from like the 1980s? It's bothering me now. God damn it.
I don't even see what picture you're talking about, to be honest.
One of the guys in the audience has got a dragon, a fluffy dragon, which is a character from an old movie. God damn it. Anyways, that's all right. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in there.
Hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
There's actually a terror discussion going on for the Unchained podcast going on right now, which I'm going to listen to later on. It's going to be interesting to see what they have to say.
How was your space yesterday, Chad? You had a ton of people in there yesterday. It was like 600 people when I tuned in yesterday.
Yeah, that was not. Oh,
to the stage, like the Discord stage you're talking about?
No, sorry. Chad, you hosted Discord
THOReau.
stage
Sorry.
yesterday, and that was really good. I should pin that up on the top here. I have the YouTube link, by the way. But then Chad THOReau hosted with Zero X Ventures. He had a really good space. People just sharing their stories and spilling their heart out yesterday.
yeah, it was interesting. I like kind of kicked it off, and the first couple hours were nice, and then I kind of had to step away, and things were getting a little crazy for a while. I was kind of listening in, but yeah, there's been so many spaces this week of just people telling their stories with Tara, and like honestly, like many just heartbreaking stories and stuff like that. So was just trying to open a space just for discussion, kind of like there's just so many lessons from this, like that I personally learned, just investing stuff, like my own kind of evaluations of things. So we were just kind of working through that, but then yeah, like at times in it, definitely got a little worked up at certain parts of that conversation, but it was an interesting space. I mean, it's just like a emotional time for the space in a way. So it was, overall, I think good experience.
Yeah, I caught part of that space yesterday. It was really, really interesting to like listen to people talk and to kind of debate, talk about their own experiences and their viewpoints of what should have happened or what should be done, blah, blah, blah. But I found it really interesting. So thanks for putting it together.
Yeah, no problem.
I started listening out, and there was a 15-year-old who came up on stage and started. I don't even know what he was talking about, but it is so many unique people that just are involved in this. It's a pretty crazy community, and so I feel like sometimes you kind of lose some of the humanity just like in like the text form online. So the spaces are interesting because you actually hear like the real people behind it, and it's not just like text on a screen. It's like there's a 15-year-old kid, that there's like someone from like South Africa, and there's people from all over the world and different experiences, and all going through the same timeline here.
Yeah, great point. It's really what makes Twitter Spaces cool. Like, just makes it so much more personal. When you just see a random tweet, it's easy to just be like, oh, this person's just full of shit, or this is just some FUD. But maybe there's just actually a concerned person on the other end that it doesn't all come across in 280 characters or whatever it is. Yeah.
All right, Chad, I guess we can, wow, 79 people in here already. We can get into it then. We can start talking about, the status of Terra on THORChain, and then, yeah. I don't know if there's much more today.
I'm guessing that's going to be the main topic of today. Maybe a few other little things to touch on, but
yeah, I'm sure people will glorify later as well. But yeah, let's start with, what's going to happen with the Terra the Luna and UST pools on THORChain, and how LPs are affected.
Yeah, right. So Terra is now still kind of paused on THORChain. We were waiting for the full nodes of like Terra to get caught up. Everybody's like behind by like 1,000 blocks or 2,000 blocks, and that's problematic for how this network functions. And needs the layer one to be stable for it to be able to get a consensus of what's actually did transpire, right? And so we had to pause things, and the network actually automatically detected this on its own and auto paused before it became a real issue, which is great. It actually did exactly what I was designed to do, so that worked well. So then we just kind of waiting for the dust to kind of settle in a sense, and over time, it's a dynamic environment. What's happening in the space, and people are they halted the chain for a while, and Luna was hid from exchanges, and which all kind of changes the calculus of the outcome of all this. And so we still don't know what's going to happen with Terra, obviously in the long term. And I guess more and more people are feeling more and more bearish about it, and reasonably so, of course. So I think at this point, what our intention is as a team, as we've discussed internally and we've discussed with the larger community, is we want to make sure we kind of protect our LPs as best as we can, and get them, back there, at least their rune, because that's what's still a value here, is the rune there, not so much the Luna or the UST for that matter. So the intention is that in version 89 of the software, of the THOReau code, there's a new change where the Mimir can force you to come out the way you came. So if you provided just asset, you're coming out with asset. If you provided just rune, you're coming out with rune. And if you provided both, then you're coming out with both. And so you don't have the ability to choose and select what you want to do. And by doing so, that makes it so that you cannot arbitrage the pool and make I think now, last time I checked, it was $30 Luna price, which I don't even know what it is now, but the $30 Luna price, whatever the hell it is, that it can't be arbitraged, because the trading will still be disabled. You can't add liquidity. The only thing you can do is remove liquidity, and you can just remove it symmetrically, or just single-sided if you only provide single-sided. But generally speaking, you won't be able to really arbitrage the pool correctly, which means that people will hold on to their rune instead of being, arbed out away from them, right? Because if we had just allowed trading right now, hypothetically speaking, and nobody could withdraw their liquidity, then arbitrage is going to come in and basically dump out all the rune, and this could be like a few hundred rune left, or how the number would actually be, and everybody would, all the LPs would lose. So we're trying to stop that from happening. That's the intention. And so 189 is released, and it should be coming out hopefully today or tomorrow. That will come out. Hopefully the community will adopt the change once that happens. And the Terra daemons are all synced and all these kinds of things. We can enable LPs to remove. We'll give them probably a 1 to 3 day period for you to kind of, withdraw your liquidity, get your back, all that kind of stuff. After that point, we can enable trading again, which arbitrage bots can take whatever is remaining there. And then we have to decide what to do at that point. And I don't think we'll have an answer what to do at that point until later, until we actually understand what's happening within the Terra ecosystem, because we don't really actually understand what's happening yet. I don't know if they're going to have a plan, or if the TFL is going to do something. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. But until we have to make a choice on that, I don't think we're going to go and make a choice on that, So hopefully by Monday-ish or some time period, the LPs will be able to withdraw their liquidity, and we'll get, by Wednesday-ish, we'll have trading enabled, and then, carry on from there. Now, there's a possibility that the entire Terra chain is going to die, in the sense of the validators are just going to kind of walk off. It's not going to commit any blocks anymore. If that's the case, then obviously we will adjust plans and basically Ragnarok the chain, and just zeroing out all the UST and Luna that it has. So you can't move it anyway because it's not producing blocks anymore, and then just do a regular state change where we just send back all the room back to the LPs, all that kind of stuff. So if whatever happens in terms of the result of what's going to happen with Terra, I'm sure we'll adjust. We'll do the best we can as a project and as a community to support our own community, of course, and we'll do the best we can in that regard. After that, there's going to be another conversation, a discussion about how to handle things in the future, what additional implementations we want to do to make ourselves more resilient against unstable, unreliable chains, all this kind of stuff, which all is going to be worked on in the near future.
Great. And obviously the plan is subject to change with the changing conditions. Like if Terra does a hard fork or something like that, then you need to just stay tuned to the channels here, being Dev Discord and the Twitter account here, and there's all the other resources from THORChain to keep updated on what will happen with the Luna LPs if the situation does change. But that's the current plan. So let me just say it one more time, and then people who requested, let's let people up to ask questions only about the Luna LPs, because I think that we don't want to talk about too much other stuff before moving on from that, and so we should answer people's questions first. But let me just go through the order of events again. So the first thing would be the version 1.89 release, which should happen very soon. And then after that, 100% of the nodes need to adopt 1.89. So every single node needs to update to the new version. and then all the nodes need to vote to on a mirror command to allow symmetric LP withdrawals only. So you can only get out what you put in, and then a couple of days will be allowed for withdrawals. And then after that period has ended, then trading will be re-enabled, and then likely most if not all of the rune will be out of those pools just from arbitrage, and then trading trading continues on UST and Luna, barring any kind of node vote to remove THOReau Luna from THORChain. So that's current plan for unaffected LP on Luna or UST. So yeah, let's get some people up and answer some questions if people have questions about this process.
Hey guys, thanks for having me up. One of the questions I wanted to ask was about asymmetric deposits, but I think you guys covered it pretty much. Pretty much the way you went in is the way you're coming out. My only concern about this, and really it's not of concern to THORChain, but it feels like even though THOReau was halted, THORChain having their own halt on the protocol essentially gave people who had UST and Luna no exit. I feel like there was like a brief 24 to 48 hour period where you could kind of sell your Luna for $10, $1, even 50 cents. And even your UST peg, like some brokers were still giving 30 cents on the dollar. It seems by the time THORChain is going to open up trading, they're essentially going to be worthless. Are we basically saying asymmetric depositors are SOL?
So another way of doing this that can be discussed is that the problem with asymmetric depositors is we don't have the other address, right? So if you deposited just UST into an L position, the network doesn't actually know a rune to associate to be able to pull out the other side. If it did, you can just go ahead and withdraw it to both. But that being said, because they're both Bec32 addresses, both the rune address and the THOReau address, I think, I have to make sure this is right, but I think we can easily compute what the equal rune address would be from my THOReau address or vice versa. And so it's possible that we could iterate through all the LPs, update the LP records with the other address, whatever that other address is, right? And so that everybody has both addresses into the system, and then everybody can withdraw the liquidity, and you basically basically get half your position, right? As a symmetric person, you get half your position back. As a asymmetric asset only, you would get nothing in the because the assets go basically to zero, and you can't withdraw to it. I mean, you can withdraw Luna. Technically, if you want to withdraw your Luna and USD, you can go ahead and do so, but that won't be worth very much. And then the rune will be, get close to 100% of their rune back, close to. It's more complicated than that because of the math of when you got in, blah, blah, blah. But and ILP still is at play here, and so ILP will still do its payout. But if we actually change the addresses for everybody to have addresses for both, then you can use the same private key to access both assets, either the rune or the other asset side. That is an option that we could do. We can talk about that as a community and talk about that as a team and just determine if that's what we want to do. It's up to the community to decide.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm not just looking out for my own pockets. We had, I'm sure, many depositors who went asymmetrical and a lot who were really bullish on Rune. So I'm sure they went UST in that way so they could bet on Rune getting ahead. Ultimately, Luna and THOReau takes the loss. I understand there's a good argument that THORChain and the Treasury shouldn't pay, especially as asymmetrical depositors. But I always felt like there was this overarching thing that we believed in with liquidity providers being first class. So yeah, I'm willing to accept my loss. I just wonder if it would be even feasible, like you said, for Rune to cover losses asymmetrically.
Yeah, it might be possible in the sense that when you provide liquidity as asymmetrically just with the asset, you technically sold off half of Luna into Rune, right? In terms of what actually happened on the back end. And so if we were to do this kind of thing I was saying about converting or generating the other address, the Rune address in this case, and then populating all the LP records with the Rune address, and then people did a withdraw, then you would get basically half your position in Rune back. Not exactly half. Don't quote me on that number because the math is much complicated than that. But
yeah, I
more
think,
or less.
Yeah, I think that's like there's just comfort in that idea because ultimately, if the asset goes to zero, withdrawing the liquidity later, even to protect us from arbitraging bots, is like it's almost kind of redundant. I'm sure, as you guys can understand. But yeah, I imagine it's up to our community to decide whether we want to support.
If we were to do that, it's like you're helping the asymmetric ads for the Luna people, but you're probably hurting the asymmetric ads on the Rune people, right?
That's right.
Because now they're going to get half exposure to the asset effectively, right? Which maybe they don't like. So like maybe that's the right thing to do because they took on the half exposure to the asset anyway. So like that becomes just like, a topic that the community can debate about and argue about.
No, yeah, that's great. That makes sense. At the end of the day, I'm obviously, I would love, as much as I would love to be protected, I think it is a good discussion to have to figure out what is, I guess, fair, right? Thanks so much for entertaining my question, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thanks. There's a ton of people who have requested. We'll get to everybody. So just hang tight and we'll get to everyone. And only request to come up if you want to ask a question specifically regarding Luna and UST LPs. No other questions for right now. Nothing about THORFi or anything else. And I'll take people off once they've asked their question. If you have another question, you can just request and come back up. All right, so let's go to Wilder Pelosi.
What's up, guys? Thanks for hosting this. Unfortunate series of events. Obviously, a lot of people were affected by this, and I know there's a lot of people in Rune that are also in Luna and also in UST because, the same kind of vision, decentralized money, decentralized liquidity. But now we're dealing with this crazy fucked up situation where a lot of people had deposited LPs into THORChain or literally just watching their UST go into the fractions, which is really fucked up and emotional I know a lot of people had a lot of money on there. And there were unknown risks. Like obviously no one knew THORChain the nodes were gonna desync and we wouldn't be able to pull our money. It did help a lot of people though that they didn't dump their Rune and throw money into Anchor to pay off loans that were going to be worthless. So there were like some pros and cons, obviously. But anyways, to my question, should we be waiting for the 100 days to withdraw and have protection from the IL protection, or are we still deciding on what we're doing? I kind of hopped in here just a couple of minutes ago. Not sure if you guys already discussed this. Also, when withdrawing from the LP, should we be going into Rune directly? If we should we be withdrawing into Rune, or should we be withdrawing into both coins, or which one the two?
So first of all, we're going to try to make it so that you can't withdraw specifically into Rune only. That's a way of arbitrage, a way to arbitrage the pool. It would be detrimental to the remaining LPs in the pool. So we're going to try to make that not be a thing. What was the first question you had?
Oh, the IL protection, is that still coming into play?
So the IL protection is still coming into play. And I think you were questioning, should we wait the 100 days? Everybody can do what they want, and I'm not trying to give people financial advice or something like this, but I don't know whether THOReau will be even around in 100 days. Do you know what I mean? If it was me, my opinion would be just to withdraw when this window opens up for a day or two or three, whatever the hell it's going to be. If it was me, I would just withdraw to get my Rune out and then carry on with life. I wouldn't wait for 100 days just because you don't know what's going to happen in a week. And it's very possible that the THORchain itself will die, and so you're gonna get arb to hell in any way. So I wouldn't do it if I were you. It's just my own personal opinion, but obviously do your own research and do your own analysis. If that makes sense.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Another question: the Luna price on THORChain, if the pools open up, will that correct itself? Or I'm guessing a bunch of people will.
It will correct itself probably. I'm assuming arbs will arb, but maybe the arbors won't even arb. Who knows? You got to acquire Luna to be able to correct the price. So I'm not sure if people will even be able to acquire the Luna, but yeah, that won't happen until LPs have an opportunity to withdraw their assets. So stay tuned.
Gotcha. Last question, if I may. Any talk about refunds for symmetrical depositors when it comes to the Treasury having funds to bail us out?
The Treasury is not there to financially back the assets on the network, right? It doesn't matter if Terra fails or Bitcoin goes to zero. The Treasury or the network itself is not there to be a financial backstop to the financial price movements of any particular asset or coin. So, the Treasury, in my opinion, this is just my 2 cents, and I don't speak for the team per se or the project per se, but my own personal opinion is the Treasury should not be used for this purpose.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's it for me. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's go to your spin zone.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
You guys have answered some of the questions about the ILP. I'm in the Luna pool. And my question again, I think I caught the tail end of it, was right now the price is not reflective. I mean, Luna's basically zero. So getting back to the 100 days, anybody that has gone in symmetrically, if they wait 100 days, they're basically going to get or should get 100% of their rune back, correct?
It's a bit more complicated than that. I mean, again, the ILP is not there to be the financial backstop of a failing asset. That's just not what it was. I mean, it's a feature that this network does as an AMM that almost no other network in the world does, and it's not there to be, you know, to ensure that the value of our asset we're talking about, whether it be Luna or Bitcoin, is that's not its purpose. It's
No. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't care about Luna. I've taken that loss. I'm totally with you guys 100% on Luna and UST losses. So, you know, I symmetrically went in half Luna, half Rune, and based upon the ILP protection after 100 days, the liquidity provider shouldn't be any worse off than if you just held that 50-50 position in Luna and Rune. I'd expect that to go to zero totally. But the Rune that I deposited shouldn't be arbing back into the Luna. I'm sorry. That was the whole idea behind ILP protection, is that you would be protected on not being any worse off if you held. So continuing to lose Rune because Luna went to zero and the Rune's going to get sold off to Luna, you're going to be worse off than you held if the ILP protection wasn't there. That's why I'm sure the ILP protection was why, you know, almost all of us went into these liquidity pools, because we wouldn't be any worse off than if we just held the assets outside of the pool. So my question is, I know it's not, you know, maybe the mathematics of it might be, there might be a few Rune off, but hypothetically, if Lune goes to zero, then you should still be left with the 50% or the 100% position of Rune that got sold half off, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me just jump in real quick, and
yeah.
I'll say that you know, THORChain is completely neutral on any of the assets that it supports. So as long as Luna and US are supported, if they are supported after 100 days in the pool, then anyone that's in the pool will qualify for full impermanent loss protection, as it's always been on THORChain, and as foreseeably in the future as we can see, always will be offered. You know, there's no plans to renege on impermanent loss protection. So I believe what Chad was saying before is that we don't even know if Terra as an asset would survive 100 days. But if it's there, then ILP is obviously fully offered. Right now, I believe those are only 30 or 40 days old, so there wouldn't be full protection on it at this very moment. But if the asset is continued to be supported into the future, then it qualifies for the protection, the 1% per day impermanent loss protection, as you know, as previously described. And I'll pin an article to the top describing impermanent loss protection. Just give me a minute, and I'll do that for anyone that wants to read up on exactly what that means and what's covered under impermanent loss protection.
All right. So just to re-verify, you're basically saying that after you give that couple of days to remove from the liquidity pool, what price is that going to be at Luna?
It's going to be the price at whatever the current pool is relative to the assets that are in it. So as people start withdrawing, the price will start going down.
Okay. So yeah.
I just wanted to add something. So say that, like, if the chain still exists, that's still a major if, right? In 100 days. So say you got into the Luna Rune pool 5 days ago, and you want to hold for 95 days because you want to maximize your impermanent loss protection on the Rune side, because 5 days ago the price of Rune was way higher than it was now, and you're basically writing off of your Luna. You're saying, okay, that's gone, that's worthless. So the question as to whether the LPs will exist in 100 days is still up in the air, because if the chain doesn't exist, we have to, like for whatever reason, if Terraform Labs is completely disintegrated in the community and the validators fail to come to any kind of agreement on what they're doing, they may fork. So then that would, that brings up a whole nother list of possible scenarios. But just assuming that the chain is still running in 100 days, the pools will still be, they'll be open for trading. So Luna will be essentially worthless, and you will be able to redeem the rune side of your initial LP for exactly what you put in, subject to the impermanent loss protection. That being said, if in 5 days from now the chain stops producing blocks, and it's clear that Terra will not continue to exist, then we will take the decision to essentially Ragnarok the pools, and basically just send back all of the rune at the current value to all the LPs. So that is to say, we aren't simply going to wait 100 days if the protocol is dead just so that everyone can get their ILP. I think that's what Chad was referring to, and the purpose of ILP is not to subsidize the failure of the asset. Once the L1 has failed, that is an extreme. We need to take extreme measures to protect the network and allow the network to keep churning, which means we have to essentially Ragnarok it and just completely write off the chain. That being said, whatever happens with Terra, we are going to do our best to get Terra back online and get the trading up and running. LPs can organically withdraw within the 3-day time period. But again, there's going to be a lot of announcements, and you're going to get a lot more information in the lead up to that. So just to give you a perspective, we need to get all the Terra daemons back online and synced before we can even start to have the discussion about reopening the pools for LP or trading. So that's going to take at least a few days to get the next release sorted out, and then to get that infrastructure pushed out. So that is to say, there is two sort of options here right now. It's either we're waiting essentially up to, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks to see where the dust settles with the Terra chain, and to get the release put out so that we can get the chain back up and synchronized. So you'll have at least 2 weeks before we even announce the date on which Terra would be LP actions. Symmetric LP withdrawals would be enabled. So there's plenty of time there. So basically what we're trying to do right now is buy time to see what is going to happen with Terra as an L1 chain, right? Gotcha. So we need to know what happens with the Terra as the L1 chain before we can make any decision about what to do next. Whether we decide to Ragnarok it because the L1 chain is dead and just send everyone back their LPs, or we decide to let people organically withdraw LPs and then re-enable trading on Terra and continue to support Terra as an L1 chain, that's currently what is being discussed. So it's really just a waiting game at this point. But there is no circumstance under which anyone who symmetrically added to the UST or Luna pool ends up with any less than what they are. Sorry, I usually have to choose your words wisely here, because again, it's this is a lot of money for a lot of people, right? So you have to they will end up with exactly the amount of rune that they are owed given the current impermanent loss protection plan that is in place. No changes will be made to that. Okay, but again, you're not going to just be able to hold for 100 days just because you want an extra 70 days of ILP if we have to end up doing the Ragnarok. And so that's kind of the only distinction.
I'm with you on that one. And if I could just, I guess, outside of the LP, I'm a pretty large bag holder of rune. So, I mean, this luckily, unfortunately, I didn't take the losses that, I guess it's all subjective, right? Some people, depends on the kind of money you lost. But if I could just put forward something to think about as a proposal, particularly for the LP providers, because, we've gone ahead and put a little bit more risk into the network by LPing for the good of the community and obviously to earn
also for the reward. I mean, come on, let's not.
Right, absolutely.
Listen, in the system.
Absolutely. And the ILP protection is which I can say that almost everybody probably went in knowing that they wouldn't be any worse off than had they held. I didn't see anywhere in the ILP protection the ending of a chain. Now, if it's there, that's my bad. I just think because the chain was halted on THORChain, and I understand why. This is not a knock. None of us could get out. None of us could do anything. So to say that we just want to wait 100 days to get back our rune would be kind of an unfair characterization when we couldn't get out because on THORChain, due to security, whatever, we just weren't allowed to get out anything at any point. So my only proposal is to say, you know what? I think the last time I looked when we talked about the Treasury or the Reserve, the Reserve, talking about what the ILP protection would be or what the liability would be. I think it was maybe somewhere around 0.09% of the reserve, 312,000 rune for the UST and loan holders. I just think that good faith would go a long way on the rune side. Nothing to do with Luna. We all took that risk. Nothing to do with UST. We all took that risk. But at the very least, to walk away from this,
I see what you're saying.
Losing Luna and losing Terra and then losing a portion of our rune because we can't wait out the ILP protection, I think is a double whammy given the fact that the chain was down.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it's food for thought because it's going to give me pause to enter a liquidity pool again, as many others, if a situation like this could happen and the ILP protection doesn't cover it if they decide to fork or shut down the chain. It's just not fair.
Yeah, no, your point is definitely taken. And I see some folks from our data team and from Flipside Crypto on the call. So how about this? We'll do the analysis and we'll see what the treasury liability would be. And this is only in the event that we have to like fully Ragnarok, right? If we don't have to fully Ragnarok, then you'll just be able to wait out, your 100 days and then pull it out.
I don't mind waiting out the 100 days, but I don't want to further lose rune to the ARB and then find out at day 90 it's not supported, and now I've got 500, 200 rune left because it all got opt out. So I think the decision has to be made whether or not you're going to support the 100 days. I don't mind staying in. If I know at the 100 days whether it stops or not, I'll at least get back my rune side of the equation. But I don't want to take the further risk. It's just, I've already lost enough on Luna.
Chad, what do you think?
All right. Well, first of all, the idea that we even have ILP is something that's very unique to this chain. Like any other AMM with the Bancor doesn't even do this at all, right? So the fact that it even exists goes to show that this protocol and this network goes above and beyond everything else in the fucking entire industry. That's the first thing. Second thing is ILP is not there to be the backstop for some asset, some random ERC20, some random whatever it is, to be the financial backstop for individuals. If you put yourself at exposure of two assets and an AMM and things go south, things go south. Do you know what I mean?
Chad, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I fully am accepting my 100% loss in the pool side of the Luna. I'm 100% accepting that. Just because you guys are separate, that's what makes THORChain so great. It's what made me be the first time liquidity provider for anything. I would have never done it if 100% of my investment didn't have that ILP. It's if I go into a store and they give me a guarantee on something, but no other store does it, but I go back and they honor that guarantee. If I see in the ILP protection, because I read through the ILP protection and it said you will not be any worse off than holding the assets. So that's what I expected. Now, if you're telling me somewhere in that documentation it says if the chain ceases to exist, we only cover it up to that point that it ceased to exist, it's not in there anywhere. So that's what I'm asking for. That's all.
Spin zone. No one's saying otherwise to you right now. No one's saying otherwise. Okay? All we're saying is that if you can't get to the 100 days, then you won't get the 100 days of protection. And we can't get you to the 100 days because the chain faults. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't just write effectively blank checks for every chain that is added or every asset that is added. That's just not an economically.
But you're asking the liquidity providers, the very people that are there to support the network, you're asking them to potentially go up to the 99th day and then get stopped. And the ILP protection, I mean, if I read the document,
if it goes to the 99th day, you get 99% protection. You don't need to get to 100 to get protection. You get protection every day.
Oh, I see. I stand corrected. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm okay.
Scale.
I'm asking because of the calamity of events. More importantly, if I had a chance to withdraw from the liquidity pool, this thing wouldn't even be an issue at this point. And I think because of the drastic circumstances here, I'm asking you guys to look at the reserve and just protect the rune holders. That's all. Don't protect Luna. I get it. Don't protect Terra. That's a completely different asset. We took the risk on that, but at least let us out with what we put in on the liquidity side, because that was the whole idea of the liquidity protection, whether it was 36 days or 100 days. This thing, Luna is never going to be more than what it is now. It's being printed into oblivion.
But what you're asking for, if I understand you correctly, is you're advocating for a change in the rules ILP in your advantage and at the disadvantage of every room holder.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'll stay in the pool for 100 days. I'll stay in there for 100 days. I'll stay in there for 200 days if that was the rule. On your documentation for ILP protection, it said after 100 days, there was no language in there that said in the event the chain goes poof on 30th day, you'll only get 30% protection.
So that is already in the fundamentals of the code itself. For example, if a pool becomes shallow enough and doesn't have enough room to sustain the pool and it goes into standby mode, standby does not get ILP, for example. Right?
Okay.
That's just because providing ILP for standby, for example, is just economically makes no sense.
Also, I'll just say that ILP it's a two-way street, right? Like it's something that the protocol reserve pays out to LPs in order to continue providing the utility of liquidity over long periods of time. It's basically to make liquidity on the platform more sticky, so that you don't have just a bunch of short-term minded people who are putting in and then pulling out a few days later, relevant to the market conditions. You want to keep that liquidity in there for a long time. So if the liquidity is sitting in the pool, but it's not serving any purpose because no one's trading it, then there's no real reason for the protocol to pay out ILP because it no longer needs this token on its network. So I see both sides of the argument. And again, what I was volunteering is that we will do the analysis of what it would be to basically look at what would the liability to the treasury be if we were to give everyone 100 days in the event of a chain Ragnarok. Again, this is only in the event of the most extreme circumstance where we have to completely fork the chain off THORChain in the next 100 days. If that doesn't end up being the case, then this whole conversation is moot, and you can just wait it out like everyone else will. So
listen, I just want to say one thing. You guys are awesome. And I only hold one other asset, which is Bitcoin, and I am a diehard believer in Rune. What you guys have built, I think you're way ahead of the time, and I just want to make sure whatever precedent gets set with this. Again, this is a loss for me. It hurts. It's not the end of the world. I just want to make sure that everybody going forward doesn't pull back from providing liquidity and being a part of this great community because they're afraid of again, I don't mind the risk of an asset, but this was just, we couldn't withdraw. And it was a couple of different events that created a problem. So, I'm not asking, for anything more than I put in, and I'm not asking for a bailout, and I get your side of it. And I'm more than happy to wait the 100 days, or if it goes 90 and it gets ROPNet or whatever you call it. I'm not that technical. I guess we can make the decision. I think it was 312,000. I just think it would go a long way to everybody to say, and I think it makes it a little bit more. I think even on the THORChain side, nobody could have seen this coming. But I think going forward, we all got to take a lesson from this and say, before we adopt a chain, we got to make sure that it's really a solid L1 and it doesn't have this death spiral counterparty risk, which was all over the internet that Do Kwon and everybody else said, fuck you, it'll never happen. You're poor. And I think that's why a lot of people don't have a lot of sympathy for Do because the way he treated people. Yeah.
This chain, Terra, was by far the most in-demand chain to be added to the network, which is why it was prioritized and why it was added, because the community wanted it. So it's not really, I don't have an ability to predict whether or not a chain A or chain B is going to collapse or not. But what I do have is being responsible to the community and just doing what the community asks of this project.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
Yeah. There's nobody that's going to be able to do that research. We've said in the past that adding chains is purely up to the desires of the node operators in the community. So that's basically just what we have to do.
I'm with you.
So here's what I'm proposing. Right?
I don't want this to be contentious either, because I'm with you guys, and I don't want to drain the reserve of the treasury. I don't want to weaken. I'm in this for the long haul. I got a bag outside of the pools. So
Spin the only thing that you are causing us to do, and this is not a bad thing. It's not contentious. It just means that we need to shore up all of the language in everything. We need to go take a hard look at the rules. We need to take a look at okay, if a chain can be added to THORChain, maybe it doesn't get ILP until 2 years after it's been added to THORChain, right? This is our opportunity to go and rewrite all of the rules
How about
of the
100 days?
protocol.
How about just 100 days, the same amount as the ILP protection? You say,
No, because Terra's been around for more than 100 days, and it still is causing this issue, right? So the question just means to be, let's go back and let's take a look at the risk protocol, the risk of the entire protocol, including ILP, including SINS, including THORFi, and make a determination as to whether all assets are created equal on THORChain. Right now, they are, but it's possible that we need to change that. So all I'm saying is that what is going to come out of all of this is going to be a lot of learning and possibly some changes to the protocol. With that being said, in retrospect, all of the events that transpired, we will come out with a very fair treatment for people that may go above and beyond, or it might be exactly what we said all along. So just hang tight, and we'll be letting you guys know shortly, what to look at. And thanks for the feedback and concerns.
Thank you. Sorry, there's a lot of other people that have questions, so I'd really like to let other people ask their questions. And please only ask questions if you have questions about the Luna or UST LPs. Nothing else at this time. That's all we really want to get into.
Can we end this on a good note? Can we end this on a good note?
There's like 10 other people behind you, but sure.
Keep up the good work, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, man. Hey, Rec0x, and anyone else that wants to talk, just stay patient on the request button, and we'll definitely get to everyone. Thanks.
Hey guys, just a quick question. I deposited liquidity like asymmetrically, like USD and Luna, but like I think 2 days ago, before like THORChain halted the tearing, I asymmetrically withdrew again. But I think in THORChain the transaction was received, but the transaction out on the Terra chain wasn't sent yet. And now, because of discussing everything regarding that maybe those guys also get Rune, is there any possibility for me to still get Rune, or is it or do I certainly get like Luna and UST because I already issued basically the LP withdrawal request?
If it's already been processed and just waiting in the outbound queue, whatever, the outbound queue at some point will probably just be cleared. So if you're receiving some Luna or right now or something of this nature, then it'll eventually just get to you once the network's able to come back online again.
Okay, yeah, that's what I actually thought, but thanks for confirming.
Thanks. Hey, Mark, thanks for waiting.
Hey guys, thanks. Yeah, I think my question was already asked, so I can actually jump off. It was about the potential refunds based on when Rune halted the networks on Terra and the UST pools. I know Rune is chain agnostic, and I fully understand that, and they can't do 100% research on every chain they add, and the community was pushing for it, like you guys said. But I also think there is some care, that needs to be done in what they're adding, regardless of who's pushing what chain, or the majority of the community wants this chain because of the trickle down effects on the whole Rune network it causes. So I just wanted to put that point out there that like you guys said, I fully understand that people were pushing to add those chains, people were bullish on it, probably Rune team was bullish on it. It seemed like Rune the team was bullish on UST as well as the second stablecoin being added. So I just wanted to add, I feel like there is a little care that could be taken on that side of things due to the fact that there needs to be care on what is added to the Rune network. So just wanted to add that point. And officially, I wanted to. Like I said, I already heard the answer. Maybe you guys said you could go above and beyond, but since I was stuck in that Rune UST pool, I shorted UST at the top to kind of hedge myself until we could get some more further clarity on that. So I was selfishly asking that as well to understand if I should close my short. But seems like you guys answered that. But if there's anything you wanted to add based on those thoughts I just added, that would be great. But like I said, it seems like you guys already did. So no need to take too much time on it. And again, thanks for everything you guys do. I love what you guys are building, and we keep moving forward.
Thanks. It might be a good opportunity to say something about the process to add new chains where in the past things have been done more ad hoc, and now the processes are being formalized to propose new chains, and right now that it's already been being done the past couple of weeks with the addition of Atom and Cosmos and Gaia. So that's being signaled by a vote by the node operators. So there's new processes being put in place that have been already been working on being put in place the past few weeks. So that's something that we definitely hear. Thanks for those comments.
And sorry, one last thing. And on the halting of the THORchain, I know there was so much going on, but is there not also, part of that is due to kind of the hardware that some of the Rune node operators or validators are using? So isn't there a little bit of, something, care from the Rune team to help? Because, I know it's the only decentralized cross-chain liquidity provider that's probably doing this, but just trying to see, if there was something that could be improved for the future, because as you guys saw, the Bitcoin chain was halted as well, and a lot was going on. But so just wondering if you guys are thinking about those types of things, and because people want to be able to even provide swaps or pull BTC liquidity if they need to in a high volatility environment. So just wondering, I just want to feel safe being able to use THORChain if I need to get out of a position in the future or do a swap when there's high volatility.
I can speak to that. So yeah, definitely there's some learnings around just like performance in general. So there's some code changes that could potentially be made to Bifrost, which is the component that observes all of the external chains. There could be some performance improvements to that. There could be some improvements to the actual node infrastructure and the node like the way that the clusters run in the cloud. But again, like the clusters that everyone runs are basically just like what we recommend. But there's always going to be people who run bare metal nodes. There's going to be people who want to run on new cloud providers. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like node operators are the ones that are responsible for running and operating this network. We need to be seeing more engagement from node operators, pulling down, statistics and essentially doing analysis and doing forensics when things like this happen. So I didn't really hear much from anyone in terms of like trying to diagnose the actual issues with the THORchain sync. We had one or two node operators, some all-stars who are like, who volunteered to, scale up their clusters with beefier instances. But those are sort of like more the exception than the rule. So we're still dealing with like node operators who just kind of like run what they're told to. And so that makes it really difficult for us, especially because we're almost kind of like making an estimate, right? We know how, things tend to perform on GCP, but I couldn't tell you the first thing about how THORChain performs on DigitalOcean or on Azure. And so, what this is going to require is the collective group of node operators on THORChain to get more involved, to provide more feedback. But also they need to be really, really serious when they're thinking about adding a new chain. For example, there's just some like the Terra validators had to run on the largest possible instance that you can get on AWS. It's like $7 an hour or something. So that is to say, like, not every chain will be as cheap to run. And basically, like, that's something that needs to be taken into account. So I don't know how we as the core team can try to quantify that better. What those expenses, what those costs will be. But there's always going to be the possibility that like some type of volatility creates a spike in some blockchain that creates a performance situation that we could have never anticipated. And unfortunately, that's just outside of our control. Like, we can't be in here trying to diagnose all the issues for every single chain. THORChain, if it's something that provides 99.9% reliability for doing cross-chain swaps, then to be honest, that's good enough for me. We just cannot guarantee that something will be functional 100% of the time. So that's my answer on that. Yes, there will be changes, but there is always still going to be things that are outside of our control.
All right, thank you, Mark. We have Aya up here. Hello.
Hey all, it's Addy here. Our team is working on the Zcash integration for THORChain. So I just want to share a couple thoughts about this. Things happening, I think. I think it's great that we can discuss all these matters in a decentralized way versus being a text exchange.
sorry, Addy. Right now, we're only focusing on like questions around LPing on the Luna, the UST pool. And so if it's really in that, go ahead. But it sounded like there wasn't not direction. But
Oh yeah, sure. So I'll get to my question ASAP right now. So basically, my question is, have you ever run into the scenario of delisting a chain? In that case, how will that work with all the operators managing it?
Sorry, what was the question again? Say it.
If we have to come to a scenario to delist a chain, how would that unfold?
Yeah, so that's what we call a Ragnarok, which we've done once before in single chain KSNet one, when single chain KSNet was being decommissioned. And so basically what happens is the network iterates through all the LPs and then just does a refund or does an automated withdrawal. And so in this particular case with Terra, it's a little bit different because, you know, in the hypothetical situation where Terra just stops producing blocks, then a regular Ragnarok wouldn't be feasible because there's no, you know, you can't actually send anything. So that would be a little bit of a different scenario, but hypothetically, we could just Ragnarok the chain. Now the code itself is not actually quite ready to do that for a particular chain. The engineering effort just didn't seem worthwhile considering other things that were on, you know, on the docket. We really didn't expect something like this to happen for any of the chains we were supporting at the time. So might require some engineering effort to get that there. So, but in any case, basically the network would just iterate through all LPs and then withdraw for them.
So, okay, thanks.
All right, thanks. We have Travis.
Hi guys. I know you guys want to. I mean, times like this, people tend to get so focused and work is almost like a neutron star. And would it be okay to kind of step back a little bit and slow down? And would I be able to share some past experiences and relate that to Rune and Luna? Would that be okay?
Please keep it brief.
Okay. In 2017, during flash crash on Coinbase and Kraken, and back then the only game was Ether. I had suffered essentially around about $100 million worth of loss, and that is something that I want to bring into perspective for people that are losing everything today or in the last couple of days. And I think we need to be careful in terms of being compassionate and having empathy for people that have foolishly, like I did 5 years ago, put everything in one basket, right? So that's a mistake. Obviously, you need to diversify your investment. Yeah. But people that have made those mistakes and people that are suicidal, people that are feeling depressed, a lot of the people on the blockchain space have come out, leaders, founders, and basically told people to hold on, that UST is going to peg. That kind of comment shouldn't be made because you don't know what the technology is going to do, what the people behaviors are. And so a lot of newbies listened to these people and held on. In my case, I have Rune, I have Luna, but I've learning from the mistake of 5 years ago. I have diversified, and I have 20. I support 20 communities in blockchain space, and so when one ship goes down, you're not ruined. And so with the Rune and Luna specifically, I sat there watching Luna go all the way to zero, and I was completely okay with that because I decided to invest in what I believe in, and I believed in what Luna was doing. I didn't really care for what Do Kwon was doing with him being a little cocky, but I believed in the core technology. And the implosion of it wasn't really, it was really the inadequacy of design. And so we have a huge amount of data, like Hadron Colliders, like to learn from. This is a gift for technologists and developers. But there are part of the people, community, that are suffering greatly. And so like we need to be empathetic to them. But talking specifically about Rune, the kind of products that you guys are launching, it reminds me of like what Kraken and Coinbase did back then. And in Coinbase's case, they returned the fund right back to the customers, and they canceled their margin trading account completely. And I don't know if they released it again in 5 years. And so what Rune is doing specifically on your platform, when I go to the, for example, THORswap, and then you see all these danger marks, like exclamation points marks that says, "Oh, we can't trade this. You can't trade this. You can't trade this." It's like the same kind of behavior that the central exchanges do, and I was quite disappointed by that. But I understand that technology is very mature still, and from this failures, just industry wide, we need to learn. And we know that the governance is not adequate enough to act quickly in crises like this. And so it is up to the technologists to develop and implement it on a protocol level for the system itself to have a circuit breaker. I mean, we have this in stock markets. And people from the old days have used it because it was necessary and it's still around. And so we need to start thinking about this and implementing these one step at a time. And I'll end there.
Yeah, sure. I agree with you, Travis. You going back those times, it takes me back, Mount Gox, going back those times. And we didn't have groups like this. When we hit the loss, you on your own, man. And, like today, you've got all these groups, you can all cry on each other's shoulder. Those days was just like, am I going to be a winner or am I going to be a loser? And you stand up. I won't tell you how many times you get hit down, losing. You guys won't lose 90% today. What about losing 100% like over and over again? But you stand up and you say to yourself, this is my second chance, my third chance, and I'm going to go this time and you're going to win. And, you stand up. But look, this is about questions. My question, why do you peg it against the dollar? Why take on the dollar? That's my question. UST. It's like, they're not going to sit down.
Hey, let's please keep all these questions regarding the Luna and the Luna LPs, specifically on THORChain. We're not here to discuss anything about THORchain specifically. We just want to discuss with the community and especially the people who are affected in the Terra and Luna LPs who are patiently waiting in the audience that have questions about their own positions. We'd like for them to have the opportunity to get their questions answered about what's going on with their position. So if you don't have a specific question about your Luna or UST LP, then please refrain from coming up on stage. Thank you. Sam,
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for putting this on. Really appreciate it. I'll try and keep it to the point. I popped on both Rune and UST symmetrically into the pool probably about 25 days ago now, I reckon. So I know I'm fully aware about the 100-day ILP stuff. But you guys also mentioned that potentially in a few days or a week, we could withdraw straight away. So I'm just going by that. Would it be kind of like a run for the door the minute you open the pool, and then I'd see the price of Rune go down, and therefore I'd end up with even less Rune? I was just wondering if you could explain that. Because like you were saying, you can either wait potentially for 100 days or you could get out straight away. I'm just trying to weigh up my options, basically. I want to obviously end up with the most amount of Rune as possible. Cheers.
But let's go over the process again, because I think a lot of people that probably weren't in at the very beginning when we started talking about the most likely process for what's going to happen with the Luna and UST LPs. So let's just go through that process again and just make that clear for everybody what will happen once the chain comes back online.
Okay. Yeah,
so
cool.
Yeah, so the first thing that's going to happen is the version 1.89 release, and that will be released in the next day or two, and then it will take 100% of the nodes. So every single node, every single THORChain validator node will need to adopt the changes for version 1.89. And this change allows a new Mimir command, which allows symmetric LP withdrawals only. So to your point, people will be able to withdraw once nodes vote on this Mimir command to allow symmetric withdrawals only, meaning that LPs will be able to withdraw their positions, but only symmetrically. Because if you allowed people to asymmetrically withdraw their positions, everyone would just withdraw Rune and then wreck the other LP. So this is the kind of the orderly exit towards the door, so to speak. And then after a couple of days, trading will be re-enabled. Sorry, Pluto.
Yeah.
You go.
Yes. So basically, because trading will not be enabled, and because asymmetric withdrawing or depositing will not be enabled, there's no way to change the relative ratio of the different assets. It will be 50-50 of assets at the current price that Luna is in the pool. So you'll basically, if everyone goes to Thor Yield right now and looks at what their redeemable amount is on their LP, that's how much Luna, which is essentially going to be worthless, you will get, and that's how much Rune you will get. So again, it's 50-50 based on what it is right now. So there will not be a sort of almost run for the exit, meaning you will not get less Rune if the person before you withdraws first. If everyone withdraws everything, then the amount of asset and the amount of Rune in the pool will be 0 to 0, just like as if half the people were to withdraw, it would be 50. It would still be 50-50, right? So
Okay,
symmetric withdrawal means that you will end up with exactly as much redeemable Rune as you have at this exact moment in time. Not as much as you put in, unless you qualify for ILP protection.
Okay, yeah, cheers for that. No, understood. I was referencing with interest the UST pool more than the Luna pool. Obviously, UST, the price of that at the moment, I don't even know what it is. I've tried to get on THOReau to have a look to see what it would be, but it keeps on crashing or it's not loading properly. So the price of UST last time I checked was like 40 cents to the dollar or something. If it was 40 cents to the dollar when it all went down, is that the price that it would be still in the pool? And therefore, when we go to withdraw, would it be 40 cents to the dollar? And therefore, I'd have a corresponding amount of rune rather than it even more getting sold off to compensate.
All right. Cheers. So say you put in 1,000 rune, that would get split to okay. So say you put in 1,000 rune at $10. That would get split. So you'd basically be selling $5,000 worth of rune and buying 5,000 UST. So you would be able to pull out $5,000 worth of rune at the current rune to UST price, which is 40 cents on the dollar. And how does that work? Does anyone know?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out if it's worth me trying to long it out for potential, trying to get more rune with the IL loss, or straight away go for it, take it out. Yeah, my runes, probably quite a bit of my runes been sold off to try and bring up the dollar side, the UST side. But if it's around 40 cents, I might just take it out. I'm just I can't quite figure it out at the moment. That's all.
Okay, so just one thing to be aware of is we don't know what's going to happen with the THORchain in the near future. THORquan just released a forum post while we're on this call talking about forking Terra and all this kind of stuff, which changes a lot of the kind of calculus of this. And so it's hard to give anyone a recommendation in terms of what they should do, because everybody should make a decision for themselves. I will just say, for my own purpose, if I was an LP in the Luna or the UST pool, that I would just withdraw when I have an opportunity to in the next couple of days, or whatever the number is. That's the choice that I would make for myself. In terms of determining what you would pull out, it depends upon how much you put in, the ratio between asset and rune that you put in when you first entered your position, how much that has shifted since then, how many days you've been in, which will give you some ILP. There's a lot of kind of calculus to it, and there's lots of things that are specific to you as an individual of how you've LP'd. So it's kind of hard to give you kind of generic advice for everybody. And I just would encourage everybody to do their own kind of, analysis and do your own research and kind of decide for yourself. But just be aware that there's a good chance that we may not even get to 100 days, right? And so you may not be able to get your 100-day waiting period, because if you're not in a pool that's generating returns, that's generating swaps and generating, income, then ILP applied to something like that, because ILP is there to support trades, and there's no trades to support that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Cheers for that, Chad. Appreciate it. Just on very quickly before I let someone else have a go, I popped in 50-50 with regards to my rune and my UST. So I wanted to try and get as much of that 50% of the rune back as I can. I don't know if that makes it easier to answer maybe my specific point, but I know quite a lot of people have gone in 50-50 from symmetrically, especially in my kind of friend group. So just something to pass back to them, maybe, guys.
Thanks, Sam. Night of the round table.
Hey guys, I wanted to ask one thing on the asymmetrical, if that's okay. If I got it right, you basically said that if trading reopens, there's a risk of ARB, and then withdrawing from the LP after that point might result in significant decrease of value. So I wanted to ask you, is there any certainty that you can give us that you will not open up the trade until when there's a solution for asymmetrical LP providers as well?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you?
Hey, Nate, just wait on one second. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody do that. I just had a few points. So,
sorry, let's answer that question first. We'll get to you right after.
Yeah, Nate, just hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah. So, intention at this point is to give LPs an opportunity to withdraw before arbitrage can take place. Pluto, you want to mute your thing for me?
I'll mute him.
Okay. The intention is to give LPs an opportunity to withdraw before arbitrage can take place onto the Luna USC, the Luna pool and the USC pool. They'll have a window to do so. I don't know if it's 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. That hasn't been quite determined yet, but just keep on the lookout for that. Just be aware of that. After that period, then trading will probably be open, depending upon any of this stuff is can be changed because this is obviously a dynamic situation. Things are changing every day, so don't quote me as in the gospel here. This is how we are thinking to move forward at this point in time. But any of these changes that we're talking about, any of these attempts we're talking about, requires the coordination of the entire community to do it. So at some point, there'll probably be a vote from the community, from the node operators, to vote on this idea of forcing symmetric withdrawals so that LPs can kind of recover as much room as they can. But that requires the community to agree with such a statement. So I can't guarantee you anything. I know you were asking for a guarantee, but that's something I just am not able to do so because I can't control it. Neither can anybody for that matter. So we'll do the best we can
But you could control the moment you reopen the trades, right? That will be within your control. So
what is within the control? Say again.
The time when you reopen up the ability to trade, which is the problem, right? That will dilute value of people who have not withdrawn. So you might be able to hold off until there's a solution for the asymmetrical as well. That was my question, really.
But as soon as you can withdraw as an LP, you can withdraw symmetrically or asymmetrically, depending upon how you entered. So the current state and the current thinking, which again is subject to change, is that if you came in symmetrically, you're going to leave symmetrically. If you came in asymmetrically, you're going to leave asymmetrically. That's the current state.
And that's my problem, because obviously if I withdraw asymmetrically today, I would get a bunch of useless UST, right? Or Luna. So it doesn't really help me. So my solution is really what you mentioned before, which is also for asymmetrical UST and Luna depositors, send back Rune to the address that you would compute using the private key, which is shared. So this is very important for everybody like me who has an asymmetrical deposit, and we are many people. So my ask would really be, guys, please don't open up the trade until when there's a solution for us, because otherwise we're kind of screwed, and that wouldn't be fair.
Okay, but the people on the other side who provided just Rune might be a little upset with that idea, right?
No, really, because the rule for everyone is you get split 50-50 when you deposit whatever you deposit. People, right? So, 50-50 is what the system has always been designed to give back to depositors. So I don't think the other guys would be upset who did asymmetrical rule only. I mean, shouldn't be.
No, sorry, Chad, can you just clarify one thing? If you asymmetrically add, can you symmetrically withdraw?
In the current situation, no, because if you asymmetrically add, you only added one address for the network to know about. Like you added just Luna, the network is only aware of your Terra address and there's no idea what your Rune address is, and therefore has no mechanism to withdraw. My kind of idea that I was floating earlier is that because it's a BEC32 address, and I had to double check to make sure this is true, but I think it's true, that there's a way that you can computationally figure out what somebody with the same private key would generate on another address.
I follow you on that one. So I think what these guys are asking is anybody who asymmetrically deposited wants the opportunity to symmetrically withdraw along with all the other symmetric withdrawals.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That sounds fair to me, as long as they're not trying to asymmetrically withdraw to extract value to essentially arb the pool, then they should be able to do that. So we will investigate whether that is possible. We might have to mutate the LP records with the BEC32 encoded private key, everything that we've been discussing. But we will at least investigate whether that is a possibility, and we will let people know what that will be. So yes, that is.
And that was my original ask, guys. Is please, while you're investigating, don't open up the trade, because that would basically kind of kill us, right? Because the arbs would happen, and then we're gone. So that was my ask. One last thing for you to consider, if for some reason the key is not usable, the private key is not shareable, there could be another way to allow asymmetrical depositors to withdraw symmetrically. This would be to allow an additional deposit into the liquidity pool, symmetric. So whoever had deposited asymmetrically with one Terra address, and now today deposits symmetrically with the same Terra address, that will give you the Rune address where you can then give back the runes. So that's another route if it's easier for you.
There's two problems with that approach. One is if you allow people to asymmetrically add, that gives them the ability to arbitrage the pool, and that they'll point what you're trying to do. But not only that, though, if you were to do that in any pool, it actually would create two different LP records, one with just your Terra address and another one with your Rune and Terra address. And that's just how it's designed.
Okay, then if it doesn't help, never mind. But please,
yeah. But yes, this idea has already been floated within the team. I'm just hesitant to commit to it in a public forum and say that's what we're going to do without actually getting, having a proper conversation internally within the team first. So I'm just trying to state what the current agreement is. More conversation is taking place, which is why I kind of said, things are subject to change. So stay tuned, you're welcome to be vocal, all these kind of things, but there's going to be an ongoing conversation internally about what you're advocating for, or what I even myself suggested for at the beginning of this conversation.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerbal.
Hi there.
Can you put the mic a little closer? Sorry, it's hard to hear.
Yes. Can you hear me now better?
Slightly. Go ahead.
Just first of all, again, just to reiterate everybody's mental health, I think that's more important than any money. Please do not do anything permanent for something that could be temporary, okay? The next thing, when Binance goes down in volatility, they don't come back and say, oh yeah, guys, you lost money because you couldn't withdraw, and therefore I'm going to give you the money back. It just doesn't happen. I'm afraid everybody who puts money inside a KEX or inside an LP will have to take the responsibility that there is going to be downtime. I've done multiple chains, and there's been downtime where I couldn't take anything out. Price falls in front of you, you're stuck inside. I just did it recently with THORChain. At the same time, THORChain, I had an LP position with Luna, and THORChain had a 7-day lock, and I was at day 5. So I'm afraid, yes, in one case, it's a good thing to try and get people out of this mess, but please do not do anything at the expense of Rune. Like, this is going to be a nightmare, because UST took Luna down, and don't let Luna take another thing, which would be Rune. And there is a very high risk here that Luna does, the fire of Luna burns all LPs, and I really don't want to see that happen. THORchain made a strategic error there by minting. He knows that, and everybody who voted yes knows that minting more of a token will spiral out of control. I mean, it's an absolute joke to go from millions of tokens to trillions at the moment, and it happened within seconds. He should have just halted the entire network, completely halt Luna, completely halt selling or interacting with that network, and then out and say, for 2-3 days, we need to figure out what the hell we're doing. So please, 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 I'm asking the Rune devs, do not do something that will destroy Rune, because we are at serious risk here. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. THORmaxim, hello.
Hello. A couple of quick points here. I'm wondering if there's a way to code in something into the interface, though, that or into the code wherever it goes, so that there's a process to shutting down a chain that would allow for auto refunding before the chain gets halted, or an option to say, hey, when you LP, you check a box that says, yes, I want to be auto refunded if possible before the chain gets halted. I don't know how much time it would take if it's, technically possible, but it seems like something to look at as some sort of save you before you get, before your funds get held hostage, in order to limit that risk of being an LP.
Yeah, well, typically when, in Terra's situation, nobody knew this was going to happen. It just kind of happened all of a sudden in a quick time period, and the process to Ragnarok is actually a multi-day process. Like, it requires so many threshold signings, and like it's very computationally expensive to do tens of thousands of transactions on or hundreds of thousands of transactions potentially on a chain, blah blah blah, depending upon circumstances. So like it would be difficult to I like conceptually, I like the idea behind it, but I'm not sure how to actually implement something like that.
Gotcha. Another question. Or maybe, I don't know if this is a comment, but as far as the issue of 100 days ILP guarantee, I commend THORChain for, in the past, having really taken care of its community members in a way that is clearly above and beyond. And I think we've reaped the benefits of that. And so I guess I just want to point out that it might be worth it. It might be advantageous to the price of Rune and to the project overall, if it's not the sort of thing that devastates the treasury and somehow harms the protocol. It's like, it might actually be advantageous, because it's so rare for projects to really take care of their people more than they have to, that maybe down the road it would increase the price of Rune, and everybody's Rune is worth more because we paid a little bit more than we technically had to at this point. So when someone's doing the evaluation on what the ILP will really cost, maybe it's worth considering that, like, if we do this, we're going to we're going to buy a whole lot of community goodwill. It's going to be more likely for people to LP in the future. There's going to be less comments on Twitter about how THORChain will lock you out of your funds or get hacked or whatever.
Yeah, so if we waited the whole, if just speaking hypotheticals here, if we waited the full 100 days for ILP, blah, 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 how much ILP would be at risk for the Luna UST pool? Thanks to the work that Orion has been kind of correcting the numbers on from Nine Realms team, it's approximately 386,000 rune that would be at at cost. And so what does that mean? For the LPers, it's good news for them. They get the rune, blah blah blah. For rune holders, the quantity of rune that's in circulation just increased 386,000 rune. So that's the pro and that's the con, and people can feel how they want to feel about it, which one's right, which one's wrong, or whatever. But just so people understand what the risk is, what the pros and cons, the community actually understands, so we all can make informed decisions about what we would advocate for within this community, within this project.
One thing that I've been thinking about a little bit that maybe I can just say here real quick. The liability for impermanent loss protection to the reserve is a small fraction of the reserve, and THORChain obviously does not intend to renege on any promises for ILP. But the reallocation of funds from the reserve to ILP, it's not like this is new rune being printed out of nowhere. It is new rune coming into circulation that was previously in the reserve, but rune that's in the reserve is already basically marked for rewards, like block rewards. It's essentially how I'm thinking about it is it's a reallocation of funds from future block rewards to current protection for LPs, and the current liability to the reserve is 386,000 rune. So that's the way that I'm thinking about it. Where it's not just like this 386,000 is just being printed out of nowhere and it creates a huge liability. This is just funds that would be block rewards in the future that would be allocated towards ILP today and doesn't pose a significant threat to the reserve.
Right. The actual amount of rune that's being secreted in each block as block rewards will increase because of this, right? Well, how much, I don't actually know the numbers off the top of my head, but that's just like a natural thing to happen from the mathematics of how this whole network functions and works.
It's almost like the Treasury printing money in order to continue to pay the debts of the Social Security system. Everyone in history and in most monetary policy, it's always to sacrifice the future for the present. That's how we ended up with the Federal Reserve ending, having as much power as it does. And so the question that we want to ask ourselves philosophically is: do we want to be bailing out people in the present in order to keep things running smoothly now and to keep people happy, and to sacrifice some of the future down the line?
Just to be clear, because I want to make sure people don't confuse what Pluto just said, the Treasury does not have an ability to print, rune or any of these things. Just to be very clear about that.
It's rune that would otherwise be income to nodes and LPs in the future that would be then used as a protection to the LPs in this instance.
Gotcha.
Anything else there, Maxime?
That seems pretty clear. One other thought, it just, obviously from a non-technical person's point of view, on the issue of nodes keeping up and staying in sync, it occurs to me that maybe this already exists, but I'm wondering if there's a way that the node software could be tweaked in a way that, gives a little bit of bonus reward to the people that are running bigger, better, faster hardware, and gives a little bit of reduction to the people that are running slower, barely adequate setups in order to, incentivize people to run the best hardware possible.
That's largely already true today. So
is it? Great.
Yeah, and many so we can't just say, oh, this one's running on a Core i8, and this one's running with 300 gigabytes, blah, blah, whatever. Because obviously the network has no idea what the network cannot provably cryptographically prove like what kind of infrastructure people are actually running on. The only thing we can actually act upon is like behavior. Like if you're not making observations because your box is slower than everybody else's, then you're going to slash for that. But if there's like a kind of a consensus that like none of the nodes are able to keep up on this particular chain, then the network assumes that there's nothing wrong with a particular chain. If there's a consensus that they're not be able to keep up, so it doesn't like punish everybody when the majority can't do it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
One other thought: at one point in the beginning, somebody mentioned 1 to 3 days to asymmetrically withdraw. And I thought, well, if there's somebody that's like, on spring break with their family and they left their ledger at home, they're going to get locked out of that. So I just throwing that out there as like, if there's some sort of timeline, let's make it as generous as we can without obviously causing too much harm.
Yeah, specific timeline hasn't been determined quite at this time. I kind of threw out a random number between 1 and 3 days. That's kind of what makes logical sense to me. But if the community feels that it's a little bit too short and they want to do 4 days or a week, or, whatever, we can have that conversation.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone. I'll end it there.
Thanks, man. Let's go to Mac.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for letting me on here. The 2 questions I have are very basic, so I apologize for it. I'm just quite new to this, but I did put in some money into THORChain. And so my main question is this. I went in with 100% Luna into the LP that got broken up. So when I pull out that LP, will it be broken up into Rune and Luna as well? I just wanted to confirm that. And just one final question, so that way I don't ask a question again, because they're quite basic. So I invested close to 5,500. My LP value shows 1,500 right now, and I have about 21 days of protection, so which is roughly 21%. With that 21%, how does that apply to my 1,500 value of the LP? And again, my apologies for the basic question, but I'm just trying to keep up and learn here at the same time.
Sorry.
Well, so the dollar value is factoring in the price volatility of the assets. So what you really want to look at, like if you're looking on Thor yield, is like the withdrawable quantity of assets, right? Like, so how much Rune and how much Luna? Because if you're looking at the dollar, that's factoring in that Rune has gone down as well over that time period, right? So as far as that question, I would just look at the withdrawable Rune, and that's what you should be. But then maybe Chad or Pluto can explain it more clearly. But there was this discussion of having to derive a Rune address for you, since THORChain doesn't currently have that.
Does that answer your question, or sorry, do you need more clarification?
If you have more questions on that one, I would just say go to the LPU Discord, LP University.
Yep. I also, if you have more questions on ILP protection, I pinned a tweet on the top. It's just swipe right on the top of the space, and you'll see the ILP protection that's published by LP University, and it's very in depth and very clear when it comes to the description of exactly what ILP covers.
Okay, no, that was it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's go to Juggernaut. Hey, what's up, man?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Very short question. I entered 50-50 with a UST symmetrical. Okay. I think the future borrowing options with Torpy is based on pools, correct? I mean, the borrowing possibility is based on the pool's value, no?
What do you mean by the borrowing capability? There's no lending capability in the network today.
But, the incoming Torpy, which allow to borrow some.
Hey, to stop you there, we're not covering the topic of THORFi right now. That'll be a separate discussion where we can have people come on and ask questions about the economic design of that. There's a lot that's going to shake out from the learnings of this last week, but we're not quite ready to discuss THORFi yet. We're just focused on trying to make sure everyone who is affected by this is able to move forward. So we'll just take questions on that at a later date. It's a good question. Thank you.
My question was just, what if THORChain is halted?
Juggernaut, let's discuss that on another space when we talk about THORFi. Just keep the conversation all relevant for LPs who are wondering about their affected positions. And that's a very good question, and something that people will definitely want to know for when we talk about THORFi in the future.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for your question, man.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Let's go to J-Rect.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for hosting this space. So my question was concerning my LP with Rune and Luna. So I tried to enter for. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought I disconnected. So I tried to enter before this whole fiasco happened, and it currently says that my Rune is pending that I provided, and it never accepted the Luna side. And right now it says pending deposit transaction must be completed by adding Luna symmetrically. So I'm just wondering what I'm to do in that situation.
What you can do is once the withdrawals are open and available for you to do, which will be hopefully the next couple of days or so, just do a withdrawal. Don't add the Luna side or whatever. Just do a withdrawal, like 100% withdrawal, and you'll get your room back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay Rick. Rune Wolf?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear the seagulls, but yeah.
Sorry? Yeah, I'll try to be brief. I'm looking at my Thor yield, and I'm just going to check if I'm understanding this correctly. Sorry about the noise. So, when I'm looking at the impermanent protection that I have, for example, in my case, it's 20%. So then what's not covered, the other 75%, is actually going to lose when I withdraw, right?
You only get 27% ILP covered. So if you lost, let's just say 10 rune hypothetically from IL, then you would get back approximately 3.
Exactly. So that's, I think, a good thing for everyone who's unsure about how much they're actually gonna get back when they're withdrawing, when that's open. Just look on the Thor Yield app, and in my case, I was really surprised that the loss is not that big. Actually, I added symmetrically, withdraw symmetrically, and of course there's loss there, and it's a quarter of that is protected, and the rest, okay, bad luck, but it's not actually that bad. That was my point.
Yep. Thanks, Rune Wonder. Let's go to Tim.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. 2 questions. One, want to definitely follow up on the question previously that might have been mistaken for the THORFi. What does happen if the THORchain is halted and some of these operations can't be carried out to salvage the LP positions?
If the THORchain is like halted in the sense that it doesn't produce any more blocks or anything like this, then effectively the Luna and the UST is motionless, right? It can't be transferred because there's no blocks to transfer in, so it becomes 100% zero. And so basically, we'd be able to remove the chain from the network, which is a process unto itself, and then all the LPers would get back their rune value of whatever they have.
Got it. And then, so I heard one question. I didn't catch this whole thing, but I heard one question about there's a movement to potentially make all withdrawals symmetric, even if you entered asymmetric. Is that correct?
There's an idea that we could convert all the current LP positions that are symmetric and make them symmetric. The ones that are asymmetric and make them symmetric by computing both addresses, both the rune and the THOR address, the THOR address and the THOR address. And so it would just convert everybody in the network to be a symmetric kind of provider in a sense. And then once that happens, everybody can just withdraw their liquidity, and they get technically they would get back a Luna and the UST as well, although that's not really worth a whole lot. And then they also get the rune.
And then so on that, like how would we go about that if, for instance, I entered asymmetrically, only depositing rune? How do you know my or other users like THOR addresses? And would there be an option for me to maintain my asymmetric withdrawal to Lune if we don't want to be exposed to the THOR assets?
So we can't do asymmetric to rune because that would cause a price shift in the pool, which would be not nice for the rest of the LPs. The THOR address or the rune address can be computed based upon what your other address is. So if I had your rune address, your THOR address, your THOR1 address, I can actually compute from that what your THOR1 address is, the same private key, right? Just because of how Bec32 addresses are functioned, where the first 4 or 5 characters is the prefix, which is THOR1 or THOR1, for example. The middle is like what your actual address is, and the last 5 characters, I think, or 6 characters, whatever the number is a checksum of the previous characters. And so from that, you can actually, I think you can compute, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm right at this, but you can compute what the address is and from the same private key.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that as well. But yeah, thanks for holding this. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, point situation is still developing, and whatever the actions that are required will be posted in the future once more information is known or as the situation develops with Terra. So thank you, Tim. Let's go to Boris.
Yes, hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you. So sorry, I joined a little bit late, but I just wanted to clarify. I think I understand that at some point, you're all going to decide that we are able to withdraw our Rune from the Luna pool, but then there's going to be a period of time where we can't do any trading with it. If that's true, I'm just wondering if, like, what is the unspoken concern here about maybe everyone trying to rush out or something? And kind of related to that, if there is a concern about that, for those that really do want to see THORChain succeed over the long term, what's the best thing that long-term holders of Rune can do once you guys implement whatever you're going to do as far as withdrawing goes?
So for the process for withdrawing, at first, withdrawals will only be possible symmetrically, which means that the price and the ratio of Rune and, say, Luna in the pool will not change, which means that basically the LPs won't be able to steal Rune from another position that won't be able to be arbitraged back because, you know, the price is completely wrong. So it'll give all the LPs who've symmetrically deposited the ability to completely withdraw their Rune value back. And if anyone wants to answer the second part of that. Sorry, can you repeat the second part of your question?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So, but you mentioned that once we withdraw our Rune, I think Chad mentioned something about 1 to 3 days before you can do any trading with it. I'm not sure if that's correct.
Oh,
and
sorry, the Luna pool won't be tradable. So you'll be able to withdraw your Rune, but you won't be able to make a swap from using the Luna or UST pool. So you can do whatever you want with your Rune, but you won't be able to trade Luna or UST on the network for a few days, for example.
Got it. Okay. So there's no big concern then about everybody trying to sell the Rune all at once. And so that kind of answers the second question I had, which was, what can we do if we just want to do our part to see this succeed? And that's just to maybe contribute over to another liquidity pool, right? Bitcoin or something else.
Correct. I think one of my intentions, at least, is like I want to do the best we can to make sure that we don't cause some sort of like mass, withdrawal, rush, mad in a sense, and like have earlier people who withdrew, did better than people who withdrew later, like in that kind of, pandemonium. So we're trying to do our best we can to avoid that kind of scenario and give everybody equal opportunity.
Well, but the amount that we have in there right now in the Luna pool, that won't change throughout all of this. Whatever's there right now that's redeemable, we're going to be able to redeem when you open it up, no? Or will that change?
No, if it does change, it would change in the positive. I don't think it would change in the negative. That's what we're trying to avoid. So at worst case, you'll get what you're owed within the context of how the network sees the state of your LP position. At best case scenario, maybe the treasury or whatever would just to smooth things over with the community to help out more. Whether that happens or not, I'm not guaranteeing it or saying it will happen. I guess requires conversation and debate.
Okay, so bottom line is people who are looking to support Rune for the long term, there shouldn't be any sort of time urgency with this. Just whenever it becomes available, we just do what we want and we continue to support the chain, right?
Well, if you don't withdraw, if you don't withdraw from the liquidity pool, once trading opens for the pool, there will be a period of a couple of days likely that the pool is able for symmetric withdrawals only. After which trading will open, at which point, the Luna price, the Luna price is going to go way down. There's going to be billions of Luna in that pool, and not so much Rune for people. It's not like people are going to be depositing Rune into that pool. I don't believe so. If you want to keep your Rune share of that pool, then it's probably best not to leave it in there before someone snatches it out.
Got it. That was the key distinction I was missing. So thank you so much for clarifying that. Got it. So I'll just switch that over to the Bitcoin LP after. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks, Boris. Let's go to Fish Pirate, and everyone that's up on stage will answer all the rest of these questions for you.
Hi, guys. Thanks for everything you do for the community. I have a question regarding, let's say the Luna chain is removed from the network and is no longer operational. I agree that the idea of everybody, you come out with the same amount, the same quantity of room that you went in. I think that's the fair way to do it. But what's going to happen with the LP rewards that were generated up to the point before all of this happened?
LP rewards will be handled. Sorry, give me your thing. I can hear myself. LP reward will be handled normally, right? So if you earned a bunch of yield, that'll just be accounted for in your LP position. So when you withdraw, that's all accounted for.
Right. So just to clarify on that, it's not what you started with; it's what your withdrawable amounts are at the current snapshot. If you were to go to THOReau right now and look at your withdrawable, so that's already kind of shifted and accrued rewards or had IL, and then there's ILP. So that's the kind of ending snapshot, not what you necessarily added exactly.
So it would be ILP protection plus the rewards.
Yes.
Yeah.
It still applies as normal.
Okay.
Sorry, hearing myself back.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, thanks. Let's go to B. Hizzle.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but so I deposited asymmetrically with Rune only into the UST pool. I know you guys have kind of talked about this, but then it kind of bounces around a little bit. I just want to be kind of clear. What should I expect? I only deposited Rune into the UST pool. What should I expect going forward?
If you only deposited Rune into the UST pool, you will get Rune back. How much Rune you get back depends upon either, if we do this whole like rewrite addresses thing we were referring earlier, that would change how much Rune you get back. If we kept it the way it was currently thought about, it'd be a different amount. So it all depends on how things are going to land.
So if you guys do the for those who asymmetrically deposited, let's say, the broken asset, UST and Luna, and then symmetrically do the withdrawal for them, they get some Rune. I don't want any Luna or UST is what I'm saying. I just want my Rune. That's why I deposited kind of that way in the first place. But
yeah, so yeah, that's still, you're going to get Rune back. The question is how much Rune you get back, and that's hard to compute at this time.
You will not get back all of the Rune that you put in because half of it got converted to UST. So you'll get at most half back.
But if this didn't happen, obviously, and I withdrew, I would be withdrawing just Rune, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you still would have, you still take on the financial exposure to the other asset while you were an LP. You're just only providing Rune, and then later on you're technically what's happening is you're withdrawing both assets, then you're swapping the UST, for example, into Rune, and then just withdrawing only Rune. That's effectively that's how the math works out on the back end of it all. And so most likely you'll get back, probably less than half, depending upon how much impermanent loss that you've experienced versus somebody else.
And then that's the other thing. I can't ride out the impermanent loss because this pool probably isn't gonna stay open, right? For 100 days or whatever.
Probably not. Right now, Do Kwon's talking about doing a fork and this kind of stuff, and if that's the case, then this whole plan we've been talking about all day is susceptible to be changed, because if we know that the THORchain is going to be just done completely, then that kind of changes our calculus of what's the best way to move forward. And so we maybe will just rag and rock the chain itself and just autonomously send everybody back their Rune, so you don't have to actually do anything, and then we don't have to worry about enabling trading again, because if they're going to fork the chain, which is being discussed now, it's not like it's been agreed upon, but if that happens, that kind of changes what we might do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Sorry for everybody. I know it's a stressful time for many people, and understandably so. And we're doing the best we can to support you guys and support the LPs and support the community. But it is a dynamic situation. Things are changing all the time. We have to be nimble. We have to be flexible, and do the best we can for what we're given.
Yeah, certainly. But I have to go. But before I jump off, I would say certainly before anything changes with regards to any of the economic positions anyone has in the pools, before trading is reopened, before any decisions are made, we will communicate those out well in advance, as long as the timeline, as long as scenarios as what to do if you added symmetrically, asymmetrically, all of that will be covered, and we'll give ample timing on that.
Thank you for coming on, Pluto. It's very helpful you coming on and helping us with this discussion. So thanks, man. Have a great day. Let's last question here with Marcus. Let's get him up. Hey, man.
Hey guys, and again, thanks a million for everything you guys are doing for the community. It's been one hell of a week, and I think it just goes to validate all of the decisions the team has made over the last kind of 12 months with respect to ChaosNet, our own hacks, the security protocols that you've put in place. I just think it really kind of highlights just how well you guys have thought this through. But one slightly different position for me, I happened to be at my desk when I saw some of this stuff happen. I withdrew my Luna Rune LP position, reflected that in my wallet, and then immediately tried to swap my Luna for BUSD. And I can see the Luna disappear but I have received nothing back because in that interim period, the chain was halted. And I've written it off. I'm just kind of curious as to what happens if and when. I know you were talking primarily around the LP positions, but I'm just curious to what happens any swap that was kind of half transacted in that period. Thanks.
If you were swapping from Rune to like Luna or something like this.
Sorry, it was actually Luna. What I was doing a Luna to BUSD swap. I can see the Luna kind of disappear. Obviously, that on the back end is in the Rune pool, and it was, I don't know exactly when, but the chain was halted. And as I say, I just don't know what's kind of happening now or how that
happens. Yeah, what's happening there is that you made a transfer on the Terra side to do a swap, and I didn't observe it yet because it fell behind and we paused things and blah, 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 all these things. So it's some kind of future block. Basically, I think it's actually probably in the current state is that it's trying to do a refund, most likely. I might have thought the actual transaction hash, I can't actually know for certain, but most likely it's trying to send back your Luna right now, and it's just sitting in the outbound queue waiting to allow an outbound transaction so that we can actually sign that Luna back to you. That's probably the outcome. Right?
And that's fine.
If you send me the transaction hash, I can look into more depth for you.
Yeah, don't worry. I mean, Chad, I know it's, I'm kind of I know that it's worth nothing. There's no issue. I was just kind of curious as to the mechanics as to how you guys deal with it. And obviously, if it's stuck in a queue, then it has to wait until the chain gets restarted, and then it actually gets back at some point, regardless of the value per se. Right. Lovely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Marcus. There's one more person that requires. Let's just get him up here just to see if there's another question here. This will be the last one. Hi, Jeff.
How's it going, Jeff?
Jeff, what's up, man?
You are still muted. You should see him.
He's not there. There's no way.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
I'm sorry, guys. This won't take long. I know I'm the last one. And if you took this question already, just cut me off and I'll listen to the earlier parts of the Twitter Spaces. So just a quick question on THORUSD. Has your plans changed with regards to the mechanics of THORUSD? That's my question. Thank you.
It's a great question, but yeah, we were discussing that we're going to just hold off on that for another space, probably another time, just kind of to keep today focused on the Terra situation. But that is a good question, and definitely want all concerns to be raised and to hear, the path forward. But yeah, I think that'll all be addressed soon.
Very well, no problem. Keep up the good work, and thank you very much.
I'll give a kind of a high-level generic answer to that, just to be quick about it and not get into a full debate or conversation, but just so everybody can kind of get a starting place. The THORify design has been in the works for almost a year, and it's been a lot of research, a lot of design, a lot of throwing out ideas and starting afresh. So we really thought through this thing for many months, and a lot of time and energy to put into it. And a lot of things we thought about, we kind of saw some what we consider to be flaws in the implementation of UST design that we wanted to not replicate. And so as we saw this whole thing unfurl with UST, it kind of further proven that the design concepts that we came up with are actually, that if you were to put THORChain in that same situation, blah, 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 how would it have performed? And it would have performed certainly a lot better. And so I feel very good about the current design. There's no immediate change that's required for THORUSD or any of the derived assets. That doesn't mean that we're not going to make any changes. We're still kind of parsing what happened with THORUSD, and there's more research to be done, which is going to be happening over the next week or two or whatever it is. So there might be some changes that come into place, but at this current time, there's nothing obvious or clear. I think we were pretty good about what we designed and feel pretty confident about it. Maybe the one thing we might take out that we talked about in the original design was proliferation, and the idea of just creating ERC20 versions of THORUSD and CW20 and blah, 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 whatever. Well, not CW20 anymore, but you know what I mean by that. Secondary markets we recognized early on were problematic because it can get to a situation where the tail is wagging the dog rather than the dog wagging the tail and cause a depeg, which is what we kind of saw with Curve and all this stuff. So this might be some changes, but nothing immediate or all that, not that big of a change. Structurally, it's the same. And we feel still pretty good and confident about it.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, let's definitely talk about THORify in another space. We should do that sometime, and we're gonna probably have a ton of offline discussions, and there's gonna be discussions all over about THORify, and I'm sure everyone has their has their own thoughts on it and on the design, but just know that the team has no interest in bringing on unnecessary risk to the network and doing something that would cause the collapse of THORChain. That's not at all what any of us want to do, or we have no intention of doing that. We want to make we're doing economic modeling right now. Orion, who's in the audience, and Chad are doing economic modeling for THORify. Everything will be tested on StageNet first. There's a lot of work that has been done and a lot of work yet to do to finally see THORify come to fruition. But I look forward to this conversation. So yeah, this is a great space, and I hope that we were able to answer people's concerns, especially people that were affected in the Luna and UST LPs. And I hope if people have questions, just anywhere, you can always direct them to this space, and they can listen to it. And more information will be out as the situation develops, because obviously we have to be reactive to the larger situation as it's developed, whether Terra continues producing blocks, whether their chain forks, and we have our tentative plan in place, and then hopefully we can see that through. If not, then plans will change, and everyone will be notified of those changes, and we want to do our best to make sure that LPs are protected on THORChain.
I just posted a tweet at the top here. It says like good read. It's a really great thread that another individual wrote who was a part of the war rooms with Terra. Lessons learned from Terra and things that should change, blah, blah, blah. It's a really good read if anyone wants to learn more about what they did wrong. And that's a good read for us as a community, because we want to understand what went wrong with theirs to make sure we don't replicate.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's wrap it up then. Thank you everybody for coming out. Make sure to share this space with people who might be holding a current LP, just so they are updated on the most recent information on what will happen with those LPs. And we want to make sure that this information is dispersed out there, and plans may change. So make sure people tune into all the outlets to get info. So thanks everybody for coming on today, and better weeks ahead for sure. See you guys.